Okay, I would like to show Vauban Prime.
The multitude of creatures you have immortalized would cry out in thanks.
I've got a variety of builds for Vauban, and I think they should be useful. Okay, I'll set up level 205 corrupted heavy gunners. This is a vanilla build, so there's no changes to the helmet. Anything you want here, even like anything you like there. I use shield disruption because there are shields on enemies and it becomes a problem. Prime sure-footed would go here, but I'm kind of cheap at the moment. I'd have to form a this, and then form a that, and I really don't feel like it. I think it's good enough as is with the extra range. So I've got range, range, and that's it. And so I've got prime continuity, prime flow, umbral intensify. Prime vigor is nice because his health and shields are equal, and having just more of it helps him get going. That's usually one of the problems with Vauban. I noticed that, yeah, I have Arcane Blessing here, but in order to get up to that point where he has an extra 1,200 health, it takes a while. So, if anything, this can be considered the option slot. Tesla Bank is really good, almost too good to pass up. Rapid Resilience is excellent for him. One of the reasons why is because if he has any type of status put on him, he can pop out of it, and the Warframe is indestructible. In which times it just cools down and the status is removed. If he uses an ability, he's still indestructible. He uses another ability, still indestructible. And that's pretty much an instant, still indestructible. Still indestructible. So every ability he has keeps him indestructible. There's not a lot of Warframes you can say that for him. Not a lot of abilities. So what I'd like to do is also go over this. I found for me that 200 duration is really, really cozy. I really like it. You could change the augmented out for type and duration, if I could type right. Arcane concentration. And what this would do is you cast an ability, and the ability after it, within 3 seconds, has its duration increased. The number one ability is an ability, yes, but it doesn't have a duration. It has charges, and those charges go up with duration. The more duration you have, the more the charges. I think I got 15 charges on them right now. No, 200 duration would mean 20 charges, yes. So 10% per charge. So I get 60% extra duration of my second ability cast. So this one, 49, cast again, 64. And any abilities after that get an extra 60% duration. His number 3 doesn't have any duration. The number 4 does. So that's another way you could do it, and simply say, all right, I've got duration. I'm going to put ability strength here instead. Totally fine. A lot of options here. 1 to 2 cast shards. I'd say one of these equilibrium shards is definitely useful. And these can be either strength shards or duration, depending on what kind of arcanes you want to use. I got rid of arcane concentration and went for augmented. Oops, what am I doing? There we go. So 60% ability strength, which if I did it this way, 30, 45% high I can go with shard. So I went with duration because I don't need 200 duration. It just makes it really comfortable. So you can just use a regular red shard here for duration and not a Tau Forged one. So 10, 20, 30% more duration. That'd be totally fine. But I went with all Tau Forged, bringing it up to 200%. Efficiency 30. Range, I got just enough. I'm fine with that. Strength, after Mo Augmented hits 250 kills, we got 200 ability strength. So I found 200 to be very, very comfortable. So rapid resilience is my status immunity. We can just keep, I wouldn't say immunity, but cleansing. But we can keep everything as is. And moving on to the pet. I can be invisible and continue to kill stuff. On the pet, I have efficiency, which is my efficiency build. Seismic bond. As long as my pet attacks, it won't attack when you're invisible, so you won't get this 30%. But as long as the pet attacks, I'll get an extra 30%. 10 stacks. So that's 160 efficiency. I don't need the Shade Prime. I can get the same build on another pet. I can move on to Worm Prime if I wanted to and get the efficiency build. That'd be totally fine. Seismic Bond. That works. I have the Tazza core. I just have it set to basically viral. If we can strip enemy armor, we may as well be putting viral on the enemies as well. Weapons don't matter here, which is really cool. The Zaw I'm using, I have a Slam build and Exodia Brave on heavy attack, 5 energy rate for 4 seconds up to 3x, 3 times. So 15 energy per second. Handy, not absolutely needed at all, but very helpful. So moving on. Let's see what we can do for these creatures here, enemies. Pull them together. Now hit number 4. There we go. So I got a one that pulls them together and one that gives me armor. Now I've got armor 1,500, it says at the top of the screen. Right here. And we got 12 seconds to cast another one. So at the bottom of the screen, I got 5 seconds before it turns into a suction. There it goes. Let's suck the enemies in. Move outside of far range. Now that's completely wore off. Top of the screen. The armor will last another 9 seconds, 12 seconds. Oh, I just cast it. I got infinite duration as long as I'm inside this circle. Another 1,500 armor. It doesn't even have to incorporate the enemies. I move out of it, the countdown begins. 20 seconds. So duration for me, that's why I said it's cozy. I want that to be very high in the, as much as possible. So I'm fighting in here. Now it starts sucking the enemies, and we have 20 seconds before that duration wears off completely. Look for more enemies to put that up again. As long as I'm going from area to area. Or leave. Now I got 20 seconds to cast another one. I can maintain that 1,500 armor. Very, very, very handy. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to a warframe, switch back. In hopes that the abilities will calm down. All right. So. Hold it down. Hold enemies in. Put a ring around them. Get the armor strip. Very nice. 1, 2, 2. His number 3 scales with their ability strength. So you can do this to level 9999 enemies, and it'll do the exact same thing. So, wait for that to stop doing what it's doing. 2, 1, 0. All right. Summons more enemies. I won't pull them in this time. Just pick them up. Number 1, hold it down, drop it, strip that armor, and let the electric guys do their thing. Now, if they've got this above them, I could shoot this one guy here now, and all these guys would blow up. That Tesla augment, the number 1 augment, woo-wee, I'm telling you, it's really, really good. But let's simulate the enemies again, pick them up, put that number 1 on them, armor strip, cast 3, boom, 1 shot this time. And because they're grouped together, and the Tesla foils or whatever put that mark on their heads, the number 3 hurts one of them, absorbing the damage and then hurting all the enemies nearby, and they all blow each other up, and it's a win-win-win. So keep that number 1 going. Okay. What was I going to see here? Oh yeah, this here. Anyways, ammo augment is at 60. So it only gets better. The number 2, for me, and the way I'm playing him, the number 2 isn't as needed. I suppose I could do this and cancel it. I just want the damage. But it's more of a hindrance than it is helpful. 36% damage buff or something like that. Weapon damage and movement speed. Yeah, I don't need it. I think just if it didn't fling me around at all, it'd probably be better. There's a pad on the ground that I can just touch to get more weapon damage for a duration. 49 seconds. Without throwing me, that's just me. But we can use this. Pull enemies. Yeah, strip that armor. Now the number 2 probably won't be grabbing enemies because lifted enemies aren't considered important enemies according to the AI, but the puncture damage is still going off. And it still does its job. I mean, it still scales. It's a little slow, but it still does its thing. So I'm just using 1, 3, and 4. 2 is just if you want to pull the enemies in. if I hit one. And the enemies get pulled. Cast one. Two. Two. One. And a bunch of chaos. I didn't even have to shoot my gun. So what type of weapons would work? If I wanted to. If I had a 777 amp, which I do, but I don't have it equipped. An alternative to that would be Furus. Let me wait for this to die off. Alright. Now the 777 amp is like that. It shoots outward. Void damage does more damage to enemies that are stripped from armor anyway. So I could go out and use a 777 like that. And tear them apart. So if you die, you can just go, boom, look for the group of enemies and take care of them. So I can also do that with Shade Prime while invisible. Only downside is I won't get the efficiency because Shade Prime won't attack while it's invisible. But if you want a pet that'll attack while invisible, you could get the Hurus Kubro. And it has the Stalk ability. It cloaks itself and masters stalk down its prey within 24 feet. So while you're invisible, it'll make you invisible and it'll continue attacking. Just use your abilities, not your weapons. Silence weapons don't matter. Don't use them. Alright, let's go. I like to group them up before I armor strip them. Let my pet go nuts. So having a pet that just goes crazy in the process, always good. I do like the viral though, that really, really helps. Let's see here. Doesn't matter. But I do like the efficiency. Does help. Anyways, next build. This is something a lot of people are going to be doing. They're going to be putting Nourish on them. Now, where you put Nourish, it doesn't matter. But I have the Tesla bank again here. So keep that. If you don't need the Photon Strike, so be it. Get rid of it. Put the Nourish on top of it. Depends on what you like. At full range with this build, you can make really use of the mine layer, reaching around 58 meters. That's almost the entire map. 58 meters. That's ridiculous. That would be past that point. So it's up to you what you want. But I kept the build similar. But we have Blind Rage here to get that 200% ability strength. Overextended Augur Reach and Cutting Drift. Archon Stretch, obviously, we want that energy regen. And I don't have a lot of health, but with Arcane Blessing, that'll bring that up. Survivability. If you have 1,500, armor, because of his number 4 ability, you're going to want some health to go with it. And in level cap, that survivability is probably not enough, but you got crowd control, and you've got your pet going crazy with the viral and the radiation, and then you have on top of that The armor, so damage reduction, probably around 90% damage reduction. 87, I'm just taking a guess here, 1,500 armor. 90% damage reduction, 91. Which sounds amazing, and it is. But if you add that one extra layer of damage reduction, having a pet that occasionally turns you invisible, Shade Prime, mix it in with maybe a secondary weapon with secondary fortifier so you can strip overguard from enemies, making it real easy to pull them into your void or your area. That's another layer. You add those all together, and now the survivability range goes really high up. And we have Energy Siphon here, full range. And this one's very similar, costs more energy. In this case, seeing that I provide the viral, I probably would want my pet to have corrosive, magnetic, cold, radiation. And then I nourish. Okay, now my pet has viral, and so do I. Lower their armor, making their armor drop even quicker. There it goes. Same principles, except now this range here is even greater. My gun isn't 100% useless. I can get that extra viral in there. Very nice. It all depends on what you're used to, what you're familiar with. I never used to use him for anything other than the Spectrage build. And I couldn't really take him to Steel Bath because the survivability kind of wasn't the greatest. Maybe because I wasn't reading these right. Maybe I didn't do enough research at the time. But now that they're explained a little better, I can go, okay, well, I can replace this with that, that with that. I'll take another look at it. This is a Spectrage build. Very low ability strength, which means he's not going to scale very well. But if you want to just pull enemies in, then so be it. Full range. Right? And all we're doing is killing the enemies so that we can pick up energy ones. So it's just a large crowd control. That's it. Not very powerful in comparison to the other builds. But the original Spectrage build was very, very weak. This one's way better. But these are the two main ones that I think I'd use. The number one seems the most fun for me. But yeah, so that's that. I hope this video helps some people out. Maybe you can build something from this build and kind of tinker around, see what you like. But have a good one.